Chargers, big chargers, and a new charger variant all in one level. This rundown just keeps on getting better and better by the minute. Although, it seems like a lot of people are struggling with this level for some reason. Well, I guess it's probably because people aren't quite used to the loving embrace of chargers yet. But that won't do at all. No, certainly that won't do. So it looks like I'll have to assist people in beating this level and truly understanding how to get along with their charger brethren. Hello everyone, my name is Professor Scalar and welcome to the R5B1 guide, a level where it seems like a lot of people are struggling, especially when it comes to the overload objective. So let's get right into it and start talking about everything you need to know to make this level a little bit easier for you and your squad. Starting off as always with your loadout. Not your tool loadout though, your weapon loadout, because this is going to be one of the few levels where I will want to recommend specific weapons to you and your team. Not your primaries though. As always, I don't care about your primaries. I'm more concerned about your secondaries. In this level, a lot of people struggle with the overload objective because they have to deal with a lot of powerful enemies during a reactor sequence. Enemies like giant chargers, giant strikers, and hybrids that will just melt through your team if you don't have the appropriate type of weapons. So I would definitely recommend you take things like sniper rifles, hell rifles, or even hell guns. These three weapons probably stand out the most among my top picks for this level. The sniper rifle has very high precision damage and can easily one-shot hybrids and giant strikers if you hit them in the head, taking them out of the equation almost immediately. The hell rifle, while it doesn't have as much damage as a sniper rifle, it does have the capability of piercing through enemies. So if you have a bunch of big chargers or maybe just regular chargers rushing after you, fire once, two, or maybe three times, boom, everything is dead. This thing can easily deal with large groups of tankier enemies because of the fact that it has more rounds in the magazine, and it could pierce up to 5 enemies with one bullet. And then the hell gun, it's basically a weaker version of the hell rifle, but it has more rounds and more ammunition in it. So if you're more focused on dealing with a lot of the regular strikers, shooters, or chargers, this weapon is quite beautiful. I will be teaching you a strategy for the overload objective to funnel enemies a bit more, so it'll be very easy to get these collaterals and hit multiple enemies with one bullet if you're using the hell rifle or the hell gun. Not all 4 people on your team have to take one of these weapons. You could definitely get away with maybe just one hell gun and one sniper rifle, but if you find yourself struggling a lot with the overload objective, definitely make sure that at least 2 or maybe 3 people on your team are taking these type of weapons. Other things like the shotguns, the revolver, or the machine gun can definitely be used by your 3rd or 4th person. Like I said, you don't need to focus everything on this, and you probably do want something that's a bit more for ad clearing, since you will have a lot of regular strikers and shooters still coming after you. That, and you still have the rest of the level you have to deal with outside of overload. Then when it comes to your tools, I would recommend you take a biotracker, a mine deployer, and 2 sniper sentries. I like taking the biotracker because there are a lot of scouts in this level. The main objective will require you to initiate an air alarm, so biotracker to counteract that a little bit, make it easier for you. The overload objective requires you to go through a lot of zones that are very dark and filled with many enemies, including quite a few scouts. And then the extreme objective requires you to go through a lot of zones completely covered in infectious fog that have a lot of dangerous threats in them. So having the biotracker to make things easier of knowing where enemies are, how many there are, and all of that is going to help out quite a bit. The mine deployer will help out a bit during the main objective since you will be doing a few alarm doors throughout it. The overload objective, it won't really help out too much since it's going to be a lot of open space and a lot of enemies, so nothing really you can do with it. But during the extreme objective, it is going to help out tremendously. The extreme objective requires you to go through 3 different blood doors, and no tool does a better job than dealing with blood doors than the mine deployer, so I would highly recommend you take it for that reason. And then finally, the sniper sentries. Ideally, you will never have to use these during the extreme objective. During the main objective, yes, you could use them for the 2 alarm doors you have to do, even though you don't really need them. But during the overload objective, these are going to help out so much. Like I said earlier, you're going to have a lot of tanky enemies like giant chargers, giant strikers, and hybrids, and sniper sentries do a wonderful job dealing with them. Yes, you could use auto sentries and burst sentries to help out a bit, but they go through ammunition way too quickly. And I find that whenever I take those in this level, I run out of tool refill way too early during the overload objective, and then I have to kill every single enemy using my guns, and it's just, while you are given a lot of ammunition, it's not very efficient and it makes things a lot harder. So I would definitely recommend 2 sniper sentries because of the overload objective. If you're just going for the main objective, you can definitely swap out one or even both of the sniper sentries for auto sentries, but I would definitely recommend sticking to this loadout if you are going for prisoner efficiency. But with the loadout out of the way and all that explained, let's drop down to the level itself and start talking about every single zone one by one. Dropping down into the level, you'll see that your main objective is to collect a specific HSU unit, and this will either be located inside Zone 96 or Zone 98, and you start off inside Zone 92. In 92, you'll find 3 other security doors, one to 93, which is to the west, one to 97, which is to the north, and one to 94, which is to the east, and you need to go through 94. However, the security door is currently locked and you'll need a keycard to get into it. That keycard will either be in Zone 97 or 93, so use the terminal in 92 to figure out which one of the 2 zones you need to go to. Both of them are full team scans, so no alarm tied to them, and inside you'll find quite a few enemies, some resources, and potentially multiple scouts, but nothing too terribly difficult. Once you have your keycard and any resources in hand, you can head back to the Zone 94 security door, unlock the door with the keycard, and you'll see that you have to do a Class 4 alarm. So let's look at a map overlay for this door. In this map overlay, I have both Zone 97 and 93 open, but you'll only have one of the 2 open, so you can disregard half of the information here. In both situations, there are 3 doors that they could potentially go through, so I would recommend you just shut all 3 doors from the direction that you opened, and then place a mine on all 3 of them. This should deal with most of the enemies pretty easily. You could also place down one of your sentries near the open security door if you want to. It'll trim out a few enemies, but overall I don't find it to make a huge difference in the long run just because of the design of these rooms. But hey, it doesn't hurt, it doesn't necessarily waste anything, so you can go for it if you want to. Once this alarm door is finished and all the enemies are dead, you can head into Zone 94. There are a few things to note inside Zone 94, the first one being a fog turbine that you're going to want to find and bring along with you. This fog turbine won't serve any purpose during the main objective or the overload objective, however it will become necessary during the extreme, so you might as well find it and bring it with you right now, that way you don't have to go looking for it later. Speaking of the extreme objective, you'll also find the bulkhead door and the door control to the extreme zone inside of Zone 94, as well as a basic security door that leads you to Zone 95. At this point, it is impossible to have a bulkhead key in your possession, so you only have one option, which is to head into Zone 95, which is just a full team scan. Inside of there, you'll find quite a few chargers, 2 scouts, a few resources, and 3 more security doors. One that leads to Zone 96, one to Zone 98, and one to Zone 99. The security door to Zone 99 is currently under lockdown though, so you are not able to get in there, but you might as well take your fog turbine over and leave it by the security door, as you will be able to grab it when you come back through there. So, Zone 96 and 98. Which one do you need to go to? Well, one of the 2 will have the HSU you need for your main objective, so if you haven't already, hop onto a terminal and query the location of it so you know which one of the 2 zones you need to go into. As for the zones themselves, they're both very similar. They're all going to have a lot of HSUs inside of them. They'll have a few giant strikers, giant shooters, as well as maybe a few regular chargers in them, and both of the security doors have an error alarm tied to them. Once you open up one of these security doors, an error alarm will initiate that will spawn in 2 big chargers roughly every 45 seconds. And yes, if you open up both bulkhead doors, the error alarms do stack, giving you about 4 big chargers roughly every 45 seconds. So make sure you know which one you need to go into before you open up one of them, that way you can save yourself a bit of a headache later on. But once you know which zone you need to go into and you're ready to go, you're going to split up your team into 2 teams of 2 defenders and 2 attackers, and you're going to initiate the security doors alarm that you need to go into. Your defenders, you're just going to simply stay out and kill the first wave of big chargers, so just the first 2. After you kill them, you're going to head in with your attackers and you're going to stay grouped, that way you can more properly defend against the big chargers and you don't have to worry about them spawning in the same room as you. As for your attackers, you're going to be heading in and looking for a terminal ASAP. If you're heading into Zone 96, go all the way up the stairs to the big door, open it up, and then the terminal will be along the right side of the wall. If you're heading into Zone 98 though, go all the way to the eastern room in the very far back, and your terminal will be along the northern wall back there. You might as well check any HSUs that you run by on the way in. You may be able to find it before you even need to go to the terminal, but if not, get to the terminal, ping the location of the HSU, Then all 4 of you go over to it, do a full team scan, and once that full team scan is finished, a few different things will happen. First of all, the air alarm will be disengaged, so no more big chargers will spawn in from this point onward. The second thing is the security door to Zone 99 will now be unlocked. The third thing will be that the fog levels throughout the stage will rise up a bit, although it will still stay non-infectious. It is not infectious quite yet. And the fourth and final thing is, well, your main objective is completed. Yes, that's really all there is to it. Once you complete the full team scan for that HSU, your main objective is finished, and if you're just going for main, you can head back into Zone 92, get on the extraction scan, and defend against a few big chargers, and you're done with the stage. Nothing left to it. However, if you're going for prisoner efficiency, there's still quite a bit more you need to do. So, collect any resources that are inside of Zone 96 or 98, whichever one you went into, and once you're all ready, head back out into Zone 95. Alright, so you're going for prisoner efficiency. Well, to start things off, you're going to need your first bulkhead key, which will be located inside Zone 99. But to get into it, you're going to need to deal with a Class 4 cluster alarm. So, let's look at a map overlay for it. In this image, you can see I have both Zone 96 and 98 open, but of course for you, you're only going to have one of the two open, so you can disregard the other one. And the defense for this isn't really too complicated. All I really suggest you do is head into Zone 96 or 98, shut all of the doors that are connected to the very first room and place a mine on every single one of them, then head into Zone 94, first room, shut both of the doors and place a mine on each of them. Then place a sniper sentry at both of the security doors, so 1 to 94, 1 to 96, or 98. And that's really all you need to do. The mines will deal with a lot of the initial enemies, and the sentries will help deal with any of the remaining enemies that do get through, or if you have to get quite a few extra waves, it'll help thin them out a bit. But Class 4 cluster alarm, not too terribly difficult. Go throughout it, finish the scan, kill off the rest of the enemies, then go back out, collect the mines that are left over, pick up your sentries, and you can head into Zone 99. In there, you will find your first bulkhead key, as well as the bulkhead door control and door to the overload objective, which you will be doing first. If you want to go for prisoner efficiency, you have to do overload before extreme. Inside of Zone 99 as well, you're going to find a lot, and I mean a lot of resources. So make sure everybody is stockpiling up, everybody's refilling their ammo, their sentries, their mines, and their health. And once you're ready to go, put your key into the overload door control, select overload, go up to the bulkhead door that leads to Zone 452, open it up, and head on in. Inside of Zone 452, you'll see that your overload objective is to find and start up a reactor, and this reactor will be located inside Zone 455, so there's a few different zones you're going to have to go through to get to it. However, getting to it is pretty easy. Every single security door that you will be going through will be a full team scan. There are no alarm doors or blood doors along the way. You will find a security door Zone 456 that's under lockdown, but you'll be coming back to that one a bit later. Really, the only threats of getting to the reactor are just the enemies that are naturally spawning. You'll find quite a few strikers, shooters, a fair amount of chargers, maybe a few big strikers, and also a fair amount of scouts, but as long as you're stealthy, you know how to deal with them quietly, it should be pretty good. You have a lot of resources, so if mistakes do happen, you should be able to recover from them, but you just need to go through zone by zone until you get to the reactor. Well, sort of. Once you get to Zone 454, the zone before the reactor, you'll notice you'll be in a giant bridge room, the classic type of room you see right before a reactor door. And inside you will find a few big chargers as well as a brand new enemy that makes its first appearance here in this level, and that would be a Charger Scout. And just as it sounds, it's basically a Charger and a Scout combined together. It looks like a Charger, it'll walk around, extend its tentacles, if it's alerted it'll spawn in enemies just like a regular Scout would. However, it is a bit tankier. Because it is part Charger, it has no head damage multiplier, which means its weakest spot is in the spinal region. You also cannot one-shot it with a single melee hit. If you want to stealthily kill it, you have to have at least 2 fully charged melee hits to kill it, or you could shoot it in the back with something like a sniper rifle or a pump shotty. There's probably a few other weapons that can also one-shot it, but I haven't done too much testing with it quite yet. So either try stealth kill it, or just shoot it, go loud, and then just have to deal with the rest of the giant chargers that are in the room. There's usually not too many, maybe about 2 or 3. You'll also find a lot of resources inside Zone 454, but I recommend do not pick them up. Don't even touch them. Just open the boxes or lockers and leave the resources be. You're going to want to keep these here for later for the reactor preparation. But once that's done, head into Zone 455. It's just a full team scan. And inside there, you'll find the reactor terminal as well as many more resources. So you're at the reactor, which means it's now time to do the reactor preparation before you put the reactor startup code in. So what do you need to do for reactor preparation? Well, I've got 5 things on a checklist for you to do. The first thing being restock. Go back throughout the previous zones and refill your supplies. Try to not touch anything at 454 or 455. Save these here for the reactor itself. But if you left stuff behind in zone 95 or 99, go back, grab those, heal up a bit, refill your ammunition, refill your sentries. Just restock as much as you can without touching anything at 454 or 455. Second thing to do, organize your supplies. You're going to have a lot of ammo, med, and tool in 454 and 455, and you want them all to be organized the best you can. You don't want to have to be guessing where the ammo packs are, where the med packs are, so try to centralize everything. I personally like to have all my ammo packs on the bridge near me. Then I have my tool refills a bit closer to me, anything that's still left on the bridge, or maybe near the security door zone 455. And then I like to have my med packs sort of towards the back end of the reactor, just because while it's a good thing to heal up, I rarely find I need to heal in the middle of a reactor wave, more so in between waves. And in between waves, you have plenty of time to run all the way back there, grab a med pack, heal up, and then go back and grab an ammo pack. So keep those a little bit further away. If you want to have 1 or 2 med packs closer to you though, that's perfectly fine. Go on ahead. Third thing you're going to want to do, set up your sentries. You don't really need to place them anywhere specific. You could do it sort of like you see in the background footage. The key thing is just make sure that they can see across the bridge, and they can pretty much shoot enemies no matter what direction they're coming from or just how they're approaching you. Make it so your sentries aren't going to be useless and not shooting at anything, okay? Then the fourth thing you need to do, make sure everybody knows what they're doing and what the game plan is. It's a good idea to have 1 person dedicated to put the codes in, and then 1 or 2 people dedicated to refill the sentries. The code person is because when the code appears and you can put it in, you're probably still going to have a few enemies still coming after you. So 1 person runs, puts the code in or preps it, and the other 3 people finish off the last few enemies. Then everybody refills and restocks, and you initiate the next wave. As for the sentries, you don't want these things running out in the middle of wave 5, 6, or 7. So make sure 1 or 2 people are keeping a close eye on them, and if they really need a refill in between waves, refill them. You don't really need to refill them in the middle of a wave, but in between waves, definitely make sure that those things are sitting at least 20 bullets each. That way they will not run out in the middle of the wave. And then, step number 5, start up the reactor. Everything's ready to go. Take a bathroom break if you need to, but once the team is good to go and everything's in position, initiate that reactor and let's get this party started. When it comes to the reactor itself, it's pretty simple and straightforward. Every single code will be given to you for free during this reactor. Yes, that's right, free. So you don't have to go to a single new zone to try to find terminals, to find logs, to figure out what your codes are. At the end of every single wave, your code is given to you on a silver platter. As for dealing with the waves of enemies, it's not too bad. All 4 of you, I would say, stay centralized about halfway through the bridge on the right side of it. The reason for this is because you have hell guns and hell rifles, and you want to get multi-hits and multi-kills with them to be as ammo efficient as you possibly can. If all 4 of you are spread throughout on the bridge, then the enemies are going to be pretty spread out when they come for you. If all 4 of you are close to each other though, the enemies will basically come in a straight line right for you, making it pretty easy to get those multi-hits and multi-kills. Just be a bit careful that you're not side-strafing too much and you don't accidentally shoot each other, because that can lead to some pretty nasty situations. Then when it comes to it, there will be 7 waves in total. Wave 1 will consist of strikers, shooters, and giant strikers. Wave 2 and 3 will be a little bit more difficult as they will add hybrids into the mix. In my opinion, these hybrids are probably the most dangerous thing during the reactor, since you're in a wide open area and they could just missile barrage you from very far away. So people with hell rifle and sniper rifles, focus on the hybrids as fast as you can once you see them appear. Then when it comes to wave 4, chargers and big chargers will be added to the mix. But then weirdly in wave 5, the big chargers seem to be removed from the enemy pool. I don't know if I've just had really weird RNG with this level or what, but I've done quite a few runs of it and I have never once seen big chargers in wave 5, so I guess they just don't exist. But when it comes to wave 6, those big chargers will come back and there will be a fair amount of them, so do be cautious of them there. And then finally, when it comes to wave 7, everything will be in the enemy pool except for giant strikers. It appears every single giant striker will be replaced with a giant charger instead, so definitely be careful of them because wave 7 will have quite a few giant chargers, regular chargers, and hybrids. not so many regular strikers and shooters. But once you finish the 7th wave and you put the code in, your reactor sequence is finished, and 2 major things are going to occur. The first is the security door to zone 456 will now be unlocked. Inside there, you'll be able to find your second bulkhead key, as well as a 1-use med pack that is very well worth it and very well earned. Congratulations, champ. Pick it up with pride. And the second thing that will happen is all the fog in the level will become infectious, which is going to make going through the extreme objective a little bit more difficult. So once the reactor is finished, grab any resources that are left over, top yourself up as much as you can, head all the way back to zone 456, go in, get the key, get the med pack, and then head back into zone 95. Pick up the fog turbine that you left behind, take it with you, go into 94, put your bulkhead key into the extreme door control, then head on up to the bulkhead door that leads to zone 223, and walk on in and get started with your extreme objective. Inside of zone 223, you'll see that your extreme objective is to retrieve and distribute 3 power cells into generators. And all 3 of these power cells will be with you inside zone 223 somewhere. However, the 3 generators will be located inside different zones. But when it comes to the extreme objective as a whole, there's really not a whole lot I have to go over or talk about. Everything will be completely covered in infectious fog. There's a few safe spaces here and there, but for the most part, you will be completely covered in it. So make sure you're taking the fog turbine with you, and grab as many fog repellers as you possibly can. I know some of you are going to want to hold on to the super valuable long-range flashlight or glow sticks or lock melters, and the somewhat okay seafoam grenades and deployable mines you might have found, but trust me, you're going to want pretty much all 4 people to have fog repellers on them. These are going to be very useful and help out quite a bit. But you're just going to go throughout zone 223, there's a terminal about halfway through, use it to find the exact location of all 3 power cells, go find them, clear out any enemies along the way. There will be a few regular chargers here and there, but not too much. But once you have all 3 power cells, you just have to go distribute them. But where are these generators? Well, they're located in the 3 blood doors that are connected to zone 223. There's one that leads to zone 224, one to 225, and one to 226. All 3 of these will have a single generator inside of them, as well as a lot more infectious fog, a few regular scouts, some chargers, and some giant chargers as well. But overall, nothing really too difficult to deal with. 1 or 2 well-placed mines on each of the blood doors will deal with most of the enemies. You can just stealth on through, you don't have to kill any of the enemies whatsoever. Find the generators and plug your power cells in. Really, the biggest threat to the extreme objective as a whole is just having a scout spawn on the opposite side of a blood door, which means it will almost always guarantee be set off when you open up the blood door. But if this is the situation, if you see a scout on the other side of a blood door with the bio tracker, I would recommend just place down your mines, try to get 1 or 2 of them, maybe 1 parallel and 1 perpendicular if you can do that. You might have to be a bit creative, but you can manage it for most of the blood doors. And then just open the blood door and run like the Dickens. If you're lucky, every single enemy will be killed off by the mines and the scout will not get triggered. If you're unlucky, scout gets alerted, you just have to drop the fog turbine, throw fog repels everywhere, and just have your bio tracker be ready to ping the wave of enemies as they come for you. Most of the enemies will be killed off inside of the zone you just opened up, so you really just have to worry about the scout, maybe 1 or 2 other enemies, and then the wave that the scout will spawn in, probably from behind you. But overall, nothing really too difficult if you're well coordinated. Once you put all 3 power cells into the generators though, you finish the extreme objective and you're done with the level. There's nothing left to do. Head on back into zone 92, get on your extraction scan, defend against a few big charges on extraction, get it up to 100%, and you are finished. And that's all there is to it. As always, if you have any tips or tricks for this level that you want to share, any questions for me, or just have something in general that you want to say, leave it down in the comments. If you enjoyed the video and found it useful, then consider hitting that like button. It helps out the channel and it helps these videos get noticed by people who really need them. And while you're down there, you might as well hit that subscribe button and ring that bell to get notified whenever I post a new video. I also have my own Discord server, so if you want to become part of the community I'm building, hop on in. Link is down in the description. Until next time, keep on challenging yourself to become even better at whatever you love doing. And I'll see you all in the next video.